All right. This is hello, everybody. This is April 7, 2022 meeting of the Rockport Planning Board. All members are present with the exception of Harry Korsland is not present. Is that correct, Kelsey?
Yes, I don't see him.
Okay, he might show up. Right now, he's not present. Okay, so let's start the meeting as we always do with a public comment period, which is for members of the public to comment on anything relating to planning, other than matters that are scheduled for a public hearing. We have one of those on tonight. And then we have another public comment period at the end of the meeting also. So I understand there's some people in the waiting room. Have they been allowed in, Kelsey?
Yes, yep, everyone's in.
Okay, so let's hear any comments from members of the public if there are any. No, nobody with a hand raised?
I don't see anyone. No one's waving on camera.
Okay. Well, if they're not there, they're not there. All right, well, let's go to the next item then, which is we have some hearing minutes, quite extensive and thank you, Kelsey, for doing these. You got one more hearing coming up, and then you'll be out of the hearings. So this is the January 26th public hearing on the zoning bylaws. Does anybody, I mean, this is, you know, these are just comments from people. So, you know.
Hard to correct.
Yeah, they're hard to correct, and there's the significance is debatable, but anyway, here they are. Anybody has any additions, corrections, or deletions they feel they need to make, let's talk about them. Otherwise, we'll move on to taking a vote on them.
I was absent.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
That meeting.
Tom, you usually have something.
I didn't see any problem.
Okay, well, that's great. So do I hear a motion to approve the,
So moved,
who's made that motion?
Peter.
Was
The
that,
unshaven one.
okay, Peter makes a motion to
From my
approve.
deathbed.
Second on the motion.
Second.
Okay, Denise seconds, and I'll do a roll call vote. Harry, you weren't there, so you're not going to vote.
Abstain. Yep.
Denise, do you?
Aye.
Aye. Peter,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and I'll vote in favor. 4-0. Harry abstains because he wasn't at the meeting. Minutes from the hearing approved. Okay. So we've got a public hearing, but it's actually, and this is, I'll take responsibility for this. Well, let's schedule a public hearing for 6:45 and it's now 6:35. So we technically have 10 minutes before the public hearing. So my suggestion is we kind of take the the 6 Stonehaven Lane site plan review application now, and since it's on for the first time, and then let's move into the public hearing after that, and we'll be at either 6:45 or a little bit later than 6:45, but at least we won't be earlier, which is what would cause trouble on a public hearing. So so maybe we should do the 6 Stonehaven Lane application first. And who's here to talk about that?
See, the applicant is here, Ian Whitehouse,
Whitehead.
Whitehead.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I am here. I'm expecting Tim Thurman from Treehouse to be
You're
here.
texting him?
Expecting him.
Expecting him.
Expecting him. Okay, yeah. So are you for him to make the presentation, Mr. Whitehead?
That was the intent, yes.
Yeah, I figured that. Okay, well,
Let me see if I can get a hold of him.
okay, well, we're not going to go forward with that one either. So, so he might have thought that we were going to do the other one. So let's just twiddle our thumbs for a little bit. And
So we already had public comments?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there weren't any.
Huh.
Should we go back to the minutes and look for missing comments?
I'm gonna run downstairs in this break real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. I mean, we just have to wait till 6:45. That's all. As
I
soon
know
as
what
I
I'm gonna do.
Tim Thurman was expecting to be second. So
I mean, I'm not, look, he could have easily thought, well, I don't have to be there till 7 o'clock, so I'm not going to show up. Yeah.
Here's an idea.
Okay.
Do you want to just talk in general about roadway adequacy?
Well, we could, in the context of what, Harry?
Well, the material was,
Just in general about
yeah,
what's,
just in general,
yeah,
just in general.
yeah. Well, sure, go ahead. You obviously have some thoughts.
Well, throughout town, we have a number of ways. They're all unique. I mean, across the street from me, there is a private way. And everybody who abuts that private way owns out to the center line of that private way. It's not maintained during the wintertime. Suppose it could be. It's probably all of roughly 200 feet, if that, end to end before it terminates down at Cathedral. But this is unique. Well, I mean, I'm going to say unique, but it's probably not so unique to communities like Rockport, where you've got access points in so many different spots. We're dense. We've got ways that are maintained by the town. We've got ways that are not maintained by the town.
Well, then we've got ways that are somewhat maintained by the town, really maintained by I mean, I live on a private way. They plow it in the winter.
Yeah,
It's full of potholes right now. And, Massachusetts is really crazy the way they deal with this stuff. And actually,
but when we're asked to look at an A&R plan, one of the points is accessibility for an emergency vehicle, for instance. And at some points in the year, there is accessibility, and at other points in the year, there is no accessibility. So I think about this private way across from me, and during the summertime, you'd be able to access it if you had need, but during the wintertime, forget about it.
yeah.
I guess I feel like this is a pretty complicated topic. I don't know that it's something we can cover in 3 minutes. If
You
you're
don't want to
talking
give it a
about-
try, Come on, Denise, you don't want to try it?
Look,
Well, I mean, if you're talking about Gull Cove Lane, I don't see a fire engine getting down there. If that's part of what the definition of adequacy is, I would not want to be in that house if there were a fire.
I don't think we should be talking about specific
Correct, I agree with that.
point.
I agree with that.
I think,
Well, we're talking about specific, you just mentioned a specific way.
well, I know, but Gulf Cove Lane, I believe,
There's an application pending.
not yet, but there will be. And, you know, everyone I'm sure on the board who hasn't seen that lane and, you know, its terminus or its end is going to want to see that. And then we'll have to discuss it when, you know, when it comes up. And I did, just so you, and you all know this, that I was concerned that that the planning board didn't have any standards or procedure for determining whether a private way was, you know, sufficient. And there'd been several decisions already over the years on that issue. And I know, Denise, you referenced one yourself on Johnson Road, I think. But so I wrote to town council about it and learned that there was actually a 2007 regulation that was adopted by the planning board after a public hearing, which it was in some filing cabinet somewhere. No, I didn't know about it. And it was adopted, and it talks about what we look at when to determine sufficiency of a private way for the purpose of a house being built, a lot and a house being built. And it doesn't have to be an A&R. It could be an existing lot that's on a private way. And so we've got to, I just saying, we've got to cut. It's going to be, we have a determination to make perhaps in the future. If we get an application, it's going to be involved. It's going to be something we're going to need to take a close look at. And, you know.
So my question is would a property owner not be allowed to create a way according to that 2007 decision that you're talking about, Jason? where you have-
Regulations, yeah. So the regulations, it's not a decision, Harry. These are regulations that were adopted by the planning board for it to make a determination as to the adequacy of a private way. And everyone's got a copy of them now, because I asked Mary to circulate them, and it's also on, I also had it posted on the town website recently, so it's there and it'll be there, so everyone will know, you know, it's there. But I don't want to discuss anything further on this, because even hypothetically, you know, I don't think we should be talking about it. I think it would not be a good thing for us to do that.
Okay. Well, it's now 6:45.
Okay, good. Now that we've done nothing for. All
That was
right.
an interesting exercise.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. So, okay, I'm going to look at we have a public hearing. We have for this 162 Thatcher Road. And hold on one second. I'm not going to read the entire public notice, which is, I guess, what had been done in the past, but I'll just read part of it. This was a notice. It was published twice in the Gloucester Daily Times and posted. And it's a notice hereby given that the Rockport Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Thursday, April 7 at 6:45 p.m. via Zoom. And the public hearing pertains to the site plan review request for the construction of a one-story addition and dormer addition where the gross floor area of the building located on the site are 6,000 square feet or greater pursuant to section 10(3)(a)(1) of the Rockport zoning bylaws. And this is at 162 Thatcher Road. And Mary has verified that all the certified mails came back appropriately, were sent out appropriately. So we're here to open the public hearing. This is where members of the public express their views about this project, any aspect of it that's being considered under the special permit review. I'm sorry, under the site plan review criteria. And once we get all those, then we'll close the public hearing, and then we can discuss it amongst ourselves and also talk, with the applicant. If there's a question from the public can be answered by the applicant, we will ask the applicant to answer the question. And I see there's
Mr. Chairman, may I make a motion?
yeah.
May I make a motion to open the public hearing for site plan review of 162 Thatcher Road?
Yeah, okay. Motion to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
We need a second. Who's a second?
Second.
Peter first, Harry seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
everyone's in favor. So let's consider the public hearing open. There's somebody from is it you, Julie, who would talk
Hayes
about
Engineering.
just for the public, who may be here and not know what it is?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
So would you like me to share my screen and review
First,
the
identify yourself,
drawings or?
please.
Sure, Julie McDonald at Olson Lewis Architects in Manchester. And also here is Peter Ogren from Hayes Engineering, who's the civil engineer for the project. And we also have Brian and Rachel Bagenstos, who are the homeowners.
Yeah, I mean, you can give a presentation, obviously be aware that we don't need every single detail, but in your presentation, but give an overall idea of what you're doing and, what you did for this site plan review application, and then we'll open it to the public.
Okay. Let me see.
Is she requesting screen sharing?
Yeah, I think I've got the ability here and I'm just figuring it out.
Wow.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see it.
Great, thank you. I can zoom in a bit. So it's a large property, 22 acres. Oops, sorry. Let me try and do this a little better. So we have a couple different drawings to show the project itself, but we wanted to give you small scale that shows the entire property, as well as a more zoomed in scale to show more precisely what we're doing. This is the existing conditions drawing. So we see Thatcher Road. This is the access to the property. The house is here. We are able to, this is all existing. We drive around it. So it's a big circle that guides you back to the path. There's one entrance in, one entrance out.
This is Peter Ogren from Hayes Engineering. I would just make the point that the existing dwelling sits high above Thatcher Road. It's about 100 feet above Thatcher Road. And the nearest point of the existing dwelling to a property line is about 260 feet. So it is an extremely large property, and the existing house sits sort of in the middle of it.
Yeah, and all the planning board members have actually visited the property, so we're pretty familiar with the lake. And you're right. I mean, it's isolated. It's high. It's got views, which is like point. And yeah.
I can buzz through these pretty quickly. This drawing shows the extent of the addition, which is here. It's a one-story addition adjacent, attached to the house. It's what was existing there is a patio space. We're essentially using that patio space and making little changes otherwise to the property. Then we zoom in. This is existing conditions, showing the big grade change going up the hill to the house itself. This is very zoomed in to this is the drive around the house. This is the area of the addition. When the survey was done, you can see that there was already some exploratory excavation that has been done, but that's basically where it's going. And then this drawing shows exactly where the addition is going. It's really, again, it's a 1-story. And we're also adding, the other drawings will show there's a little dormer piece we're adding here to kind of balance out the elevation a bit. The architect couldn't help it. And this is this is the architectural site plans, and these are really giving the same information. We've got a zoomed out and then a more zoomed in, but the intent here was to locate the lighting on the property. The project was first constructed in 2012 and got approvals then. And since then, there's been the new lighting ordinance for the town. And so the board requested that we assess what's there, which we've done. So these drawings, it's got a lot of stuff going on, but they're showing where the lighting is. And each point of light is given a key, and we looked at each type of fixture. If we found that they weren't fully in compliance, we assessed and reviewed with the client and decided how we wanted to address for compliancy. So that's kind of the extent here. This also shows location of condensing units and adding some low shrubbery around them. Otherwise, the landscaping stays as it is. It's rock outcroppings and trees and lawn that we are essentially keeping as is, aside from the addition. And again, this is showing where the dormer is being added and the addition is here. So I don't know if you probably don't want me to go through the locations of the lighting fixtures, but maybe do you want me to go through fixture type by fixture type? It's up to you.
Well, why don't we open it up for, you submitted a document, which I'm assuming everyone has, regarding the lighting. For 162 Thatcher, it was submitted on 10th, 2022, revised March 31, 2022. Is that correct?
Mhm.
All right. That is I thought a very good breakdown of the lighting on the property and your assessment of how that lighting complies with the residential lighting bylaw in the general bylaws. It's not a zoning bylaw, but in the general bylaws. And that's, I don't think you need to go through this item by item.
Okay.
At this point, I think if anybody on the board has any questions, we can ask about it.
I guess I would say in general, we found via our assessment that we were in pretty good shape. That with not too much change, we could be in compliancy. The clients were very open to making some shifts, such as putting things on timers and motion sensors. So yeah, let me know if there's any.
No, that's fine. And this will,
Okay.
This document will be part of your, you might want to correct Thatcher Road. I think it's spelled differently, but
Yeah, no T.
yeah.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if I've ever spelled it right.
There is a T. There are two T's in Thatcher.
Oh, there are?
Not in the island, but
The
yes. it
island
was.
doesn't have a T.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
Well,
This
you're
is a long
I've probably
history of
written it
misspelling.
1 million times. Well, that's good to know.
But the island, there is no T, right, Tom?
Right.
exactly the original Thatcher. But look,
Long history of misspelling.
All right. Well,
Why
as
don't
long
we-
as I'm right, that's what matters.
Right.
this to the public.
Well, I can shall I keep this up on the screen for during comment in case anyone has questions?
One question we did have, Julie, last time was where the new dormer was on the right. And this is the perfect drawing to show it up there. On
Yeah, so you can see it here. So this is facing facing the in curve of the house. So we have the addition on the left, and this it's a dormer piece that's really being added here only. You can see this little bit of a projection. And if we talked about it, if I would have been with you at the house, I would have shown you how we feel it really does help to balance the house. It's a large house, and there's these kind of neat projections on the roof at these locations. And then when it comes to over the garage, it kind of peters away. And so we liked the idea of having almost like a bookend at the end of the house with this dormer here, which kind of balances things out nicely.
All right, well, let's move on to the public.
Okay, great.
Jason, I will have some questions about the lighting. I don't know when to do
Let's
that.
talk about that later.
Okay.
Now's for the public to comment, and then we'll talk about the lighting after. If there is any comment, maybe there isn't. Anybody have their hand raised, Kelsey?
I'm not seeing anyone on camera.
Well, maybe, it's possible nobody has a comment, so.
And nobody has their hand raised
Okay.
on Zoom, so.
Well, that's where we are. So no one has their hand raised, meaning there's no member of the public who wishes to comment. Then there's no point in keeping the public hearing open anymore. So do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Harry moves it.
Peter, you?
Second,
No, I didn't know who moved it. It was Harry moved it.
Harry moved it.
Seconded by Peter. Any discussion in closing the public hearing? I mean, it's not surprising there aren't any comments considering the location of this property and what's being done. Yeah, so, okay. So a motion and a second to close the public hearing. I'll take a roll call vote. Denise,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Harry,
Aye.
and I'll vote in favor too. Public hearing is closed. So let's talk about stuff that we need to talk about. Tom, you had some, I'll just cut to the chase here, what I think. And, tell me if you think differently. This really, our consideration here is all about the lighting. And there, the addition and the dormer are, really are insignificant in relation to what we're looking at under our standards for, site plan review. So let's talk about the lighting. And Peter, Tom, you wanted to talk about that.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for doing a fairly comprehensive analysis of what you have and the means to become compliant. I only find two things that I'd like to mention here. The one that's pretty clear is L7, that's surface mounted ceiling fixture.
Wait, what are you talking about, Tom? So we can all be on the, are you?
This one.
Lighting plan, page 7, it's the L7 surface mounted ceiling fixture.
Yeah,
So it's good to replace the lamp with 2700. Unfortunately, it's not a recessed fixture, so it's not shielded.
We would be happy to replace this with 2 recessed fixtures.
Wait a minute. So which fixture exactly?
If that's giving issue. I guess our thought was it's not fully shielded, but it's also under a roof. And it's a very small fixture, but if this is something that gives pause, we're happy to replace.
I need a point of clarification, please. Which fixture is it? The one on the ceiling or the one on the
Yes,
wall?
that's the L7.
L7 is
Ceiling.
the one on the ceiling. So
Mhm.
that's the one that's an issue, according to Tom?
The walls were treated separately in a different page, I believe.
They
Yeah,
were.
okay. Well, let me ask you a question, Julie. What you say to comply, you're proposing that you replace the lamp with A21 LED 12 watt, 2,700 AC, page 12. And then you reference page 12, which is actually,
It's just the lamp,
well, that's
This-
just
this
about,
guy. Yeah.
right. So you're.
I mean,
doing-
as an alternate, as we're handling these guys, these could also be on a time, this one could also be on a timer. It could be on the same timer that these are on.
Yeah.
That would be fine too.
I'm trying to understand the non-compliance.
It's not shielded.
Well, it's, I mean, I
Is
think
it
the argument
not?
is it's
Really?
shielded by the building.
Exactly.
I think, I feel the same, particularly with that one fixture, the L7. And that's why we didn't initially say that would be on, treated very differently.
I would argue that it's shielded.
The
Well, I
fixture
guess
is- oh,
the intent of the bylaw is to prevent light sources from outdoor lights from intruding onto neighboring properties, intruding onto a neighbor's property line. I mean, that's the intent. So granted, this property is pretty remote from any other property, but it seems that, Tom may be correct in technically, but this being an existing fixture, there may be some other thoughts on this. It's already there. It is what it is. I put a bulb in it, and that's going to be compliant.
And it's 12 watts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12 watts, which is like nothing.
I
So,
mean, if you want to split hairs, you could argue that the shielding is provided by the tree line around the house.
well, look, this is not, something to go, I don't think this is a point to go to battle on.
No.
If you folks, if you want this on a timer, which seems to be a pretty cheap and efficient way of dealing with the issue, that should solve it, correct? Anybody have any problem with
No,
that?
sounds
would
like a
solve
good
it.
idea.
Mr. Chair, I do have the owners with their hands up. Can I unmute them?
Yeah,
Unmute.
I was just gonna echo, I think what Harry said for those that hadn't seen the property, that this is facing the south woods, that there's no.
yeah, we get that, okay?
We get it.
Okay,
We get it.
he said, I raised my hand and he.
We're just trying to deal with the issue now.
Jason,
Yeah,
if I may, you misstated the intent of the bylaw. It is not only to prevent trespass onto other properties, it is to prevent sky glow. This is for ducks.
okay, well then, if that's the other reason, then this certainly. add to
Then it's
that.
fine, it's
Yeah.
12 watts and it's shielded by the top.
It-
You
Yeah,
have to be
exactly.
muted again if you talk out of turn, okay? Yeah, if sky glow is the issue with it, I thought, yeah, you're right, Tom, that is the other issue. I didn't even think of that in this particular light fixture, because sky glow really is not, would not be a realistic concern here. But it's since we're all talking about this, and I think we've come to a resolution that makes talking about it unnecessary. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so put it on a timer.
Hey, one other thing about the lighting. The L4 securities on page 11. The statement is that there is nothing below 3,000 K available. And I did a brief search for, these are spotlights. And that is difficult to find. Floodlights, you can find 2,700. Spotlights are difficult in 110 volt. If you go to 12 volts, you can find 2,700. I don't know if it's worth that amount of trouble, but I'm just saying that this is not an impossible task.
Okay, well, I'm okay with what's proposed. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, I am too.
Who is that?
Denise.
Denise, yeah, I think that's fine. So any other comments about the lighting? Tom, you're the lighting guru, so.
No, that's it.
Okay, well, I thought this, the way, I'm assuming you or your office did this, Julie? This breakdown of the lighting?
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was excellent.
great.
Yeah, it was, you know, it really addressed each individual issue in a very understandable way. And I think the only thing you need to do for the final one, for the one that's going to be submitted and part of your site plan, is to just add the timer feature to this light on page 7. Okay, just add that to what you're going to be doing.
Okay, so is that the process and then we resubmit to
Just
Mary? Or
that.
how's that done? Or is it, I guess I'm familiar with that being part of the minutes for the meeting, like it's, you know, if you decide to approve it, that it's approved with this agreement that will also do this other thing.
What happens is 2 years from now, no one's looking at the minutes, but the building inspector is going to be looking at this gets submitted to the building inspector as part of your site plan. There's a decision that's made, a written decision, and the documents that are part of your site plan are referenced specifically. So everyone knows what documents are included in the site plan, including the building inspector. So therefore, if it ever comes up about this light on page 7, which is doubtful, but if it ever does, there'll be a reference in there that says this light is supposed to be on a timer, just like the other lights, to be in compliance.
I guess what I'm asking is just, I want to be completely sure what the process is. Because we want to, before submitting for permit, we need to submit to planning board this updated, or does it all go in as part of our building permit application?
No, what happens is this documents are included as part of your site plan. These are referenced in a decision that is made by the planning board. The decision is then forwarded over to the building inspector with the supporting documentation. So the building inspector can very easily say, okay, what's in the site plan? He can look at the decision. The decision references specific documents. This lighting plan was revised March 31, and it'll be revised again as of today's date. This will be one of those documents that he's going to be referencing. And then once he gets all these, he will then, you know, I'm assuming he's then going to look at your building permit application and look at the site plan decision at the same time. So does that make sense?
I still don't know who I'm submitting to. This goes back to Mary when it's updated. I'm going to be adding one sentence to this document. So I'm going to add my one sentence and then I send it to Mary and then she gives it to him. I just want to know exactly what my process is. I understand how you're doing it.
Send it to Mary. Mary gives it to me.
Got it.
It's incorporated in the decision, and the decision and this document go to the building inspector along with your other materials that aren't really relevant to us for your building permit.
Okay, because I'm going to be emailing this off in a few minutes, if that
Mary
makes.
is here, so you can wait till tomorrow.
I know she's not, but I just wanted to be clear that's the last thing to do for me, I'm gonna do that, and then we can prep for.
So far, that is. I mean, that's the last thing on the lighting plan to do. We haven't
Got it.
done anything else.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, anything else that anybody wants to bring up about this application? No? All right, what we can do is very quickly go through the criteria. This is on page 58 of your zoning bylaw. And you've already done this to a certain degree, I think, Julie. The review criteria for minor and major construction projects. And this is C, Roman numeral I through Roman numeral, it would be 11. Some of these don't have any application at all. We can kind of skip over those, but let's just go over those quickly. Roman numeral I, that as is reasonably practicable, a proposed site plan shall achieve the following objectives. Minimize the following. And then does everyone reading? I don't want to read it necessarily in full, but minimize the following: disturbance to the natural and existing landscape. 2, removal of trees over 24 inches. 3, the length of removed stone walls. And 4, the volume of stormwater flow from the site, soil erosion, and the threat of air or water pollution. Has that been accomplished here?
Who are you addressing?
I'm addressing the rest of the board.
I say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a yes. Minimize pedestrian, bicycle, and vehicular access. I don't even think that's an issue here. Minimize the obstruction of scenic views from public locations. That's not an issue here. Been an issue in other matters, but not here. Minimize the visibility of parking, storage, or other outdoor service areas that could be viewed from public areas. Not an issue here. Okay, this one, require that outdoor lighting comply with the town's outdoor lighting bylaw and minimize the glare from headlights of vehicles. We've just discussed the first part of that, and I think we've resolved it. Roman numeral 6, require the use of architectural features, materials, and scale so that proposed structures are in harmony with existing buildings. Well, yes, that's in harmony. It looks kind of the same as to what's already there. Require the use of landscaping and other outdoor features that will enhance the visual quality. That really doesn't apply here. It's an existing structure, existing landscape. Minimize to the extent practical adverse environmental impacts. Not an issue. I'm not going to even read that entire section because it just doesn't apply. Provide stormwater management and plan for the construction of roads and driveways. Not an issue here. We're not having a road or a driveway. And Roman numeral 10, provide adequate access to site structures for fire and public safety. Everybody who's been there can say the access is adequate. And Roman numeral 11, provide adequate and utility wastewater disposal services. That's not even an issue. That's a building permit issue anyway. So, all right, so we've gone through that. This is really, the lighting is really the only thing that we've had to discuss on this application. And so do I have a motion do we have any conditions we want to impose? Julie's going to send this revised lighting reference with the lighting fixtures, which with that one revision, that's going to be part of the site plan. Any conditions that anyone feels are necessary to incorporate into this site plan?
No.
No, I say just the modifications that we discussed tonight. That's all.
Yeah, and that'll be submitted really soon. That'll be part of the, what's submitted to the building inspector. I don't think it needs to be a condition because it's going to be done either
Yeah.
ready or
Mr.
going
Chairman,
to.
may I comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to commend the owner, the applicant, the architect, and the engineer for the thorough and comprehensive way in which they've approached this application. after a couple of bites at the apple, what was submitted to us tonight was very clear and thorough for a project of this scale. And I think it makes our duties and obligations easier to discharge when we have such an application presented to us. So I just want to compliment the architect, the engineer, and the owner on this submission.
Yeah, but don't let it go to your head.
Whose head? Mine?
It was very good. It was really, I think the lighting explanation, I mean, even though there was some, there was maybe some minor disagreement, was very, very well done and very clear and made this much easier to deal with. So thank you. Okay, so motion to approve application.
So moved.
Motion by Harry, motion seconded.
Second.
Seconded by Denise. Any discussion?
No.
All right, roll call vote. Tom,
Aye.
Harry,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Denise.
Aye.
I vote in favor of approval. The application is approved. You're all set, and you'll be getting a decision, within the next week or two, referencing the documents that were involved, and we'll look for that minor change to incorporate. Okay.
Great. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Okay, next item. You've got the Whitehead residence, 6 Stonehaven Lane. This is an application for site plan approval because of the square footage of the proposed residences. There's a house and a garage. The total gross area, I think, is 5,288 square feet of the house, the garage, and its first and second floor is 1,259. So the total is 6,547 square feet. So it's automatic site plan review. And if you look on the plans, you can see all the proposed setbacks seem to be in compliance with what's required by our bylaws. So does anybody want to speak on the part of the applicant?
There's a hand raising. I'd like to introduce the project.
Yeah, who is that?
So this is Tim Thurman principal at Treehouse Design. And I'm also with Ryan MacArthur, who is the project architect on the project. And we have with us in the audience, Leah and Ian Whitehead as well. Property owners who currently are living over on the Avenue side of town are going to be moving over here to the south end. So should I be sharing my screen?
Yeah, your audio is not so great, at least for me. I'm having
No,
trouble.
it's pretty bad.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Plus, you're about 1 million miles away.
No, I'm in Rockport.
No, I mean on the screen.
Sure. Screen share. Let's see.
Hope you can improve the audio.
Hit share. Over here on the right, in the blue. Is this any better?
You talking about the audio?
Yeah.
Talk a little more, and I can tell you.
Okay. Sorry about this. Let me try to move forward with sharing the screen and introducing the project, though. So Stonehaven Lane is a small dirt way that comes off of Straitsmith on the way down to Gap Cove. If you're aware of that, Straitsmith is also a dirt road in this area. And so the small lane enters the property across the frontage in this location. And there's a current gravel driveway that leads to a house that is a lightly built house built, I believe, in the 70s, sitting on top of some exposed ledge. And it has been used really over the years more or less as a camp. So the proposal here is to take that camp down and rebuild essentially in the same place, but expanding the house some. You'll see that the house, the lot is sitting on a knoll, so these contours slope down, and the house is sitting on essentially a pre-developed area, which is this upland that you see here. The proposal is that you would approach the house by the driveway. The house proper is dead ahead here, and it has views oriented toward Straitsmith. And then there's a garage to the left, which is connected to the house by an open roof area, just a covered roof area.
The house is, the garage is connected to the house?
That's right.
Now, let me ask you a question, Tim, about the garage. What's on the first floor of the garage and what's on the second floor?
The first floor of the garage is a 2-car parking area, and there's a staircase that leads up to an open space above that has a bathroom. It's essentially a studio space on the second floor. The garage itself is being used as a solar collector, so it's being positioned in a way that we can get a 10 kW solar array on that roof. That's part of the reason it's oriented the way that it is.
Well, what I'm interested in is the garage, the space above the garage at any time intended to be a second living space.
In the way of a dwelling unit? No, it's not.
Well, that's really, yeah, dwelling unit, living space, yeah.
No, I mean, it's intended to be heated living space, but not a dwelling unit, independent dwelling unit.
Okay, so it's not going to have a kitchen?
It's not going to have a kitchen.
And so the only plumbing will be for a bathroom, is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Half bath.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, my question was a half bath versus a 3/4 or a full bath.
I think we're showing a full bath at the moment.
What, you mean like with a shower and a tub and everything?
That's right. It could be used as a bedroom if it needed to be used as a bedroom, but it's being proposed as a studio space.
All right, so it's being proposed as a studio space, but it's going to be another bedroom. Because you wouldn't put a full bath with a bathtub in a studio space unless you were planning on taking a shower and whatever.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, let's just call these things what they are, you know? It's going to be another bedroom, so. Go ahead.
Okay. Fine. This is another project that we're going to be doing through the Department of Energy program, which is for zero energy ready. And so it's being built with double stud wall construction and very high levels of insulation, geothermal heating, all electric. And so we're happy to, be proposing a project like this. It's in alignment with what was just voted in at town meeting over the weekend, that we're looking to get to net zero as quickly as we can. The requirements of the house are going to be a very low HERS rating that will, with the addition of the solar array, get very close to net zero. And so that was a big goal of the Whiteheads, to design this house and meet those standards. I'm not sure, well, back to the site plan. We're showing on the site plan where all of the lighting is, and that's shown in red figures on the plan. And so the 3 squares that you see here on the porch are essentially on a ceiling, and they're fully shielded lights to light this porch from a ceiling. It's the same type of lighting that we have across that covered walkway that goes between the garage house. We're showing some ground mounted lighting that allows access from this terrace around the side of the house to where the bulkhead is. And then we have some wall mounted lighting as well, which is on the side of the building where the stairs are.
Can I interrupt you for a second on the, and by the way, I mean, I know you've been through this before. You've done a pretty good job of identifying. You show the fixtures, I believe, and a little attachment to the on lighting specs, which have the fixtures. And then what is it, plan A1.1 that shows the locations of the lights? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
Yes, the site plan.
Okay.
Light fixtures are also drawn on building elevations.
I'm sorry, again, the audio isn't so great.
The light fixtures are also drawn on the building elevations for reference as well.
Okay. All right.
This is a pretty dynamic roof shape. It's essentially two mono pitches joined together with a ridge and some valleys. And so we're collecting all the water from these roofs and directing to an existing area which is already functioning somewhat as a rain garden on the property. A lot of the site drainage naturally comes down to this area, but we're going to be collecting the water on the front side of the property and piping it to the same area and constructing a small rain garden there for infiltration. There are two other places on the site that we're taking water from the roofs and conducting them below grade to dry wells. This is one on this side of the property here. This is a sort of a flat yard in this zone here with ledge outcroppings here and there. And the other spot is this circle here is the other roof infiltration area that we're collecting from this side of the building. So we've been able to essentially collect all the roof water and direct it into infiltration areas on the site.
And when you say infiltration areas, there's actually something subsurface to collect the water?
Right. What the plan is to construct a crushed stone dry well that will be bringing the roof water to, a substantial crushed stone dry well, in addition to the rain garden, which we're showing on this side of the property.
The intent would be to not create runoff from roof water, but instead collect it and allow it to percolate naturally into the soils, which is what would happen with the water generally. As it rains on the site, rain hits the soil, percolates down into the subsurface material, and is filtered naturally. So we're taking all that roof water, putting it into dry wells, rain gardens, letting it percolate naturally into the soil.
And I don't know how you have a way of knowing this, but on the downhill side, there's a quite large contemporary home. I'm sorry, up at the top.
Yes.
Construction right now.
Yeah. And so
the address is 7 Lighthouse Lane.
correct. And so to what extent are you aware of how much ledge there is in that dry well area?
Well,
I mean,
we have not done.
The water can only filter down into the soil if there's actually soil there, right?
Absolutely. And so as we've done in the past, if we do find that this area is not sufficient for infiltration, we would move to another location along this edge as needed. We don't see that there's any exposed ledge along that edge where Powers and Schraff are building that house. But that could happen, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Same with this side.
So you're saying that these dry wells may not be in the location you're indicating there if there's too much ledge to allow you to install them?
That's right. What we found in the past is that when we do encounter something that will not infiltrate roof water, we we move it slightly, we stretch it a different direction, we do what we need to do in order to, get a dry well to function properly.
And so what's the capacity of those dry wells?
They've not been engineered.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's something to think about. Just because of the big structure that is on 7 Lighthouse Lane, that's directly downhill from this proposed structure. I just think we should keep that in mind and be aware of when you do engineer them, what the capacity will be.
Yeah, we actually had another application a few months ago where there was an issue about runoff, and the engineer had the capacity of the dry well calculated. So it was pretty obvious that it could handle any of the runoff from the roof. This is actually a much more extensive roofing system. And we would want to have that information because that is one of the criteria that we look at is runoff and where it's going to go. And these are a lot of, flat roof shedding a lot of water. So
we can provide that.
We need more detail about the specs because those are what will be, again, those will be part of the, site plan approval will be the specifications for those dry wells.
That's
And
fine.
there-
We have Gateway Consultants as a consultant on this job. So Mr. Judd will be taking care of that.
I hate to be bothersome about this, but your audio is really still, these meetings are recorded and then minutes are taken from the recording. And I'm concerned that the person for the minutes is going to have a tough time.
Yeah, you guys are dialed in, is that right?
No. Do we want to pause for a second and see if we can improve this? Can't see the icon over here.
Sure, what we'll do to. Try now.
Okay, is this any better?
Yes.
Yeah, that's much better.
Fantastic.
Good.
So are there no gutters on this house?
No, the house is fully guttered.
Oh, okay.
No, the property seemed large enough that we could just let it go to sort of a perimeter drip line, but we'd like to control the roof water so that the area around the house can be landscaped more efficiently and without rainwater coming off the roof and splashing on the house.
Thank you.
It does seem to me that the butterfly roof is actually will allow them to collect and control better than a conventional peaked house that overruns gutters all the time.
Right.
Is your plan, I see you have all the lighting fixtures identified in your lighting specs. Does the plan identify what fixtures will be where? So we can look at a plan and say, okay, these fixtures identified are the ones on page, whatever of the lighting specs, so we know what lighting will go where?
If we need to, we can add a code onto the light fixtures such as A, B, C, and D, and put that next to each light to make it as direct as possible. Right now, we've added a text note to each light fixture labeling whether it's a ceiling mount or wall mount or landscape light. And there's only the 3 or 4 lights in the spec that we intend to use. But we're happy to label those if that's a more direct and friendly way to do it.
Yeah, it would be easier to, you got one, I'm just looking, you got 1, 2, 3, you've got four
lights.
four different lights. And, you know, on your, and you've got a bunch of little red, I'm assuming the red indications are for lighting, but it would be good to know what lighting is going where.
Yes. Yep. We can provide more clarity on that and still keep the text notes that describe what's a wall mount, what's a ceiling mount, what's a landscape.
And then the other thing I think you should do is just indicate on your plan that it's a garage with living space on the second floor. So we all know that.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Do we
Yeah.
have an existing conditions plan here?
There is on the site, well, there's a question for the chairman, actually, I shouldn't answer it.
I don't believe we do. What's there now is, I mean, obviously there's a house that's not going to be demolished, but what does the site itself look like? Is that
I'm
what-
more curious. Yeah, I'm more curious about the elevations.
Yeah, the elevations, understood. Well, that is part of one of the things that we do. Let me just go to the bylaw here.
The elevation grades? Or?
We have, relative to existing conditions, we have the site surveyed. So on this proposed survey, you can see that there is a blue dashed line in the center of the plan here. That is the footprint of the existing house. Being that our intention is to raise the existing house and put up a new construction home, we're not going to do exhaustive existing conditions of a building that we're going to tear down normally, just because it's an investment without much return.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I'm more concerned about the contours, elevations, changes, which all influence runoff.
Yeah, if you guys take a look at the bylaw on page 59, paragraph 6, says plan contents, and item Roman numeral 7. In fact, well, those all apply and they should all be there, but Roman numeral 7, to Harry's point, is topographical data is required on a site plan unless the applicant can demonstrate that such data is unnecessary for the review of a minor construction project. The default.
So what we can tell you about the contours is that the dashed contour lines that you see on this plan were surveyed by Gateway Engineering, and these are all the existing contours. Where you see the contours become solid lines, that's essentially identifying some fill being added to lessen the slope across this part of the property. So these are the contours that we're proposing, and any place that you see the contours remaining dashed, that's the existing contour remaining the same. That was the intent, is to leave the site very much the way that it currently is, except for this one area where we want to swale the grading down so that you could come down this lawn to the rear property line, the rear yard, where this is too steep to walk.
Yeah, but
that's
this doesn't look like a contour map with elevations. Is that what I think what Harry's saying is, you know, you have the after here, but you need, we're looking.
We do have an existing conditions site plan that we can, you know, we have it now. We can make sure we prep it for the next meeting, that existing conditions plan is available as well.
Okay, that would be very helpful, right?
Yeah, I'll go so far as to say you're going to want to include that because we've got to determine what your average existing grade is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's been carefully figured.
Sure. Okay. Anything else, folks, that you think should be on the?
Yeah, I have a question. This is Harry, just addressing the accessibility to the site, accessibility. I've had a chance to go up into the site, climb that grade. Wasn't sure I wasn't going to bottom out my car, but I crested that hill. are we, is the plan here to cut anything as it relates to that road? I know that could be a challenge given the existence of the driveways that are coming off from other residences accessing that way on Stonehaven.
We'll have to take a look at that. There's no plan necessary that I know of in order to regrade the driveway in this area. I will say, though, that the amount of construction that we're going to be doing, beginning with removing the existing house and taking it out, may require that this road, see a little bit of widening here and there in order to make that possible. But the intent is to leave this as a gravel driveway without much change to it. That's the intent.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it'll get pretty beaten up during construction. So, but that's expected. Unless there are any other comments about the plans that have been submitted.
Just, if I may, Mr. Chair, just one comment. I think it's great that you're building a net zero house. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's good.
Fantastic.
Of course.
Jason, can we talk about lighting?
Lighting, yeah, well.
I had one last question on the road before lighting. Is this access to that A-frame that's below the site here?
That's right. This is the A-frame here.
Oh, okay. So it turns off before this property.
That's right.
Okay.
Peter, do yourself a favor and take a drive up in there.
Oh, I walked up just yesterday.
I drove up in my electric Mini and had no trouble getting up there.
Yeah.
How about January 2nd after a 6-inch snowstorm?
Yeah, well, you live on a hill too, Harry.
Yeah, but I come around the back way.
So Harry reminds me I might have a road question too. How do you define the frontage on this?
It's down below.
We're relying on Paul Orlando's judgment about establishing the frontage on this. We have sufficient setbacks and then some. So we cleared it with Paul early on that there was nothing about this lot that made it a challenge for him to issue a permit for a rebuild here. We're showing this as the front yard.
Setback.
Yeah. And the frontage is.
It looks like Stonehaven Way runs into it rather than it being on.
Along it.
Yeah.
So I'm confused about what a frontage would be here.
It's weird. You're right.
Well, they got 1.5 acres, so.
Okay.
It's landlocked, but for the access provided by Stonehaven Lane.
And there's already a house there.
A house there.
Yep.
All right, just curious. All right, let's go to lighting. You have 4 lights. First, let's look at the bollards. If I understand those correctly, you've got a little cube up on top with the light source set up into it, so it's fully shielded.
That's correct.
And there's no glass underneath.
That's correct.
And it's 2,700 K.
This unit is 2,700K, yes.
That one is perfect, thank you. The others, I'm not so sure. On the cube, the page before that, the cube does not show a 2,700, it only shows a 3,000 K.
Yeah, that's correct. These 3 lights, this unit and the decorative wall mount lights, the next 2, they're all noted at 3,000K. We are looking into getting them at 2,700K. That is our intent. And then with the idea that if we can't get the manufacturer to provide it at 2,700K, we would find an alternate that we would submit.
Great.
Your audio is falling back off.
Sorry, I was saying that we're aware that these 3 units, this one here and the decorative wall mount lights, are all 3,000K. We're talking with the manufacturer about getting them at 2,700K. And so that's our intent. If we find that they can't provide that, we would submit alternate light fixtures.
When are you gonna know that?
Ideally, we're able to provide that for our next hearing.
Yeah, why don't we do this? You've got a couple of things here from our conversations. I don't know if you want to recap them.
Jason, I'm not done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The last two fixtures, both of which are called structure, and they're both different shapes. That's the ones you said were also 3,000. You're looking for 2,700.
That's correct.
There's another issue. You've got seeded glass, and that's a diffuser. And this will serve to diffuse the light horizontally and up.
With clear glass being the preference.
Yes,
What would be a preference? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
clear glass.
I was confirming that clear glass would be the preference.
Okay,
And so we will, with that advice, we'll be looking into making that substitution as well.
Thank you.
are you done, Tom? I'm sorry.
Hold on.
Okay, so you've got a few things here that, the board's gonna wanna see when we get the plans with the revisions, which will be hopefully by the next meeting. We will then schedule a public hearing. And the public hearing, after all the notices are sent out, we'll hold the public hearing and, unless there's something more that needs to be addressed, we'll, make a decision at that time.
Okay, we have taken notes.
Yeah, great. Yeah, we appreciate your time this evening and your thoughts on the project, both relative to lighting and drainage, and as well as your compliments about the net zero effort. It's a project we're excited about.
Yeah, it's not, it's a nice project and, I think you guys have put together a pretty good application. Obviously there are a few things that need to be changed, but other than that, it's pretty good, so.
Hey, go a little further and push some power back into the grid.
We'll try.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. All right. I think that's it on that. We do, I don't know why number 5 shouldn't be there, it's only there because there's a final version. It is on the website. I think you all have it anyway. If anybody wants to go look at it. The only thing that has not been done is it has not been broken down into separate segments for the warrant. So it's not just one giant bylaw. There are obviously a few sections that are going to require only a simple majority vote. And then there are other sections that are going to require 2/3 vote. And we're going to try to break everything up so it's not overwhelming, for May 16th for the meeting, so people can vote in kind of hopefully a way that makes sense at the meeting. But the final version in terms of the text is done. It's online on the planning board webpage if you want to look at it. And, a lot of good work. That's all I have to say about that. Any member items? I have one thing, which is about the multifamily housing, the MBTA community area that has been, the subject of much discussion in the newspaper, and lots and lots of, as you can probably tell, there have been lots of comments from the communities like Rockport, which are MBTA communities. about the draft guidelines that have been promulgated by the Office of Housing and Community Development. And I will put money on the fact that those guidelines are going to change, because a lot of communities are very upset by the fact that there's one standard size, which is for a town like Rockport is really ridiculously large, of 50 acres for multifamily housing that applies to every community. And a lot of communities are objecting to some aspect of that. So we're not going to see any revised guidelines until probably the summer, but I will bet that those guidelines are going to be changing. That's all I have for a member item.
One final word about Long Beach, I hope. It
will never be final, Tom.
Okay. For the current incarnation of the Long Beach Options Committee, we presented our report at town meeting and the report was accepted.
Good, yeah, great.
Doesn't mean anybody agreed with it, but it was accepted.
And is the next study 1 year or 2 years? I wasn't clear. Bringing in an expert.
The intent was to have an expert that could be done within a year so that it could influence. But it's going to be pretty tight for the next lease round. So I don't know if that's wise. Not to
Yeah,
extend.
because some places they're going to extend the lease 1 year. Other places they talked about extending it 2 years.
Oh, well.
I mean, just in their newspaper articles.
It wasn't any decision on the part of the committee. It's up to the selectmen.
Well, Tom, when Peter says expert, do you mean like an appraiser?
No, there was a proposal to have a state-funded study to go into more detail about what could be the criteria for lease extensions and so on.
So Tom, is this a state-funded study, sort of like a housing production plan?
Yeah, in a way.
Oh, good luck with that.
Oh, you mean getting the RFR?
You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Mitch told me before town meeting that once town meeting was over, he would focus on getting this done. And town meeting is now over, and I sent him an email. You all got a copy of it, which I included that in it. So we'll see what happens.
Now to eternity.
Any other member items? No. Okay. Public comments. No public comments. Okay. Then do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion made by Tom, seconded?
Second.
Seconded by Denise. Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Peter?
Aye.
Denise?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye from Ohio.
Harry?
Aye.
I'll vote in favor. Meeting is adjourned 7:55, and have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
See you in 2
Likewise.
weeks.
Good night.
Weeks.
Take care.
Yes.